Hey guys, Ogonslav here, and I have some exciting news. We just got our homestead certified through the West Virginia DNR as a wildlife habitat. Let's go see what I did. Just to clarify for those who might not know, DNR stands for Department of Natural Resources. They're a branch of the state government that's responsible for, well, the natural resources of that state. That includes energy and water resources, it includes land conservation, it includes wildlife management, and it includes hunting and game. So that means hunting regulations and enforcement, as well as maintaining a healthy local flora and fauna. The certification itself is a little more than recognition, but the actual process and application that you have to fill out is actually quite thorough. Let me show you. They send you this 45-page PDF going over everything you could possibly need to know about creating and maintaining a wildlife habitat. Then there's this application you have to fill out and send in to them. As you can see, it's also quite thorough. So, let's look at what makes our property a wildlife habitat. Firstly, water. Water is the most important resource for all living creatures and plants on this world. We all know how important it is, and it's arguably the most important factor that you need to consider when creating a wildlife habitat. So for our property, we actually have a creek that runs right past that tree line up there. That's what we use for our natural water source. If you don't have a natural water source, that's fine too. There's artificial ones you can do. Artificial ponds, water trays, some sort of sprinkler system. I've even seen people use those hamster clamp bottles that you see, and they put those on various places on trees in their property. You can get really creative with creating a water source. Secondly is a food source. Now, this is a little more complicated due to different animals requiring different diets, but there's still some generals that you can follow and still get away and be fine. The first and easiest thing that you can do is just get bird feeders. We have several throughout our property, and we use an all-purpose mix that consists of peanuts, cracked corn, black oil sunflower, and dried berries. So far, our property life lists for birds are mourning doves, northern mockingbirds, golden finches, black-capped chickadees, house sparrows, blue jays, cardinals, wild turkey, and thrashers. We also have a really large flock or murder of American crows that live here. You might hear them calling in the background every now and then. They're really loud. I'm trying to befriend them and be pals with them because corvids are really smart creatures. We also have a bunch of turkey vultures I see circling around all the time. And we have a family of red-tailed hawks. And just recently they had a baby hawk, and we saw the mom try and teach the baby how to fly. That was pretty entertaining. And what else? Oh, and we also have a barn owl somewhere. I haven't seen it yet, but every single night I hear it. And it's first time I heard it, it was a little spooky, but you know, now it's a welcome sound. Another important factor for maintaining a natural food source is keeping a winter-friendly yard. And that means leaving your grass long and uncut through the winter season. Small songbirds like sparrows will use the long grass as cover from the wind during wintertime, and when food is scarce during those months as well, they'll actually eat the seeds off of those tall grass for a really nutrient-dense food source. This also goes for most trees. I don't deadhead or prune back my hibiscus, my sumacs, or any of my nut trees, because any seed heads that are left over the winter time, birds and other animals will come and eat those seeds or store them away for when it gets really harsh out. So if you have trees that have deadhead seeds on them, don't cut them back, leave them. The animals will thank you. I also have tons of oaks, walnuts, and hazelnuts growing throughout the property. All of those are also excellent food sources for not only birds but other animals alike. I do have to say though that when you're doing this, you're going to attract some critters like raccoons and possums and rodents that some people will consider pests and don't want them there. Here at Firewind Refuge, we don't believe any animal or creature is a pest. A pest is just something that you don't want around. Our whole philosophy here is creating and maintaining a balanced ecosystem. So if a raccoon or a groundhog or a possum is starting to live here, we're not going to kick them out just because they might get into our trash or they might eat some of our vegetables. What we do is we secure what we don't want them to get into, and then we just let them be. And I'm not against population control in the sense for invasive species or overpopulated animals, but that's not what pest control is. Pest control and culling of an overpopulated or invasive animal are two very distinct, separate things. But that's not the only way to maintain a balanced ecosystem. There's still insects that are carnivorous and need to eat other insects. So if you have pest insects like aphids or Japanese beetles, then you could just introduce a new carnivorous predatory insect like mantids, dragonflies. Even, I know they're not insects, but frogs are also really great for pest control. Spiders are very important for a healthy and balanced ecosystem. And if you just spray and get rid of all the pest insects, then what are they going to eat? They're going to die off as well. The way we see it, let nature take care of it first, and then human intervention. Okay, I'll get off my high horse. Let's move to the third thing. The third and final thing you need for a successful wildlife habitat is shelter and a place for them to raise their young. Again, this is going to vary because all animals have different needs, including their diet and how they live and sleep and where they live and sleep. But again, there are still some generals that you can follow to help attract a wide variety of wildlife. Large piles of fallen leaf and deadwood. That's Taco back there. Sorry about him, he's probably really loud in the camera. Anyway, as I was saying, large piles of leaf cover and just deadwood that has fallen over like brush provide great cover for rodents, small mammals, amphibians, reptiles, birds, a whole lot of things, small creatures. Hollowed out trees also make great cover. Conifers are also another really good choice for tree for year-round shelter, especially for birds. They provide a windbreak during those really windy winter storms. I've already mentioned how keeping your grass tall and uncut during the winter is also a great shelter for smaller birds and rodents and snakes. You could even just go as simple as keeping a large pile of rocks somewhere. Amphibians, reptiles, lots of insects, snakes, which I know are reptiles, I guess. All of those creatures will utilize that pile of rocks that you use, and that is shelter and a place that they can raise their young. Taco. Another great thing you can do is install a bat box on your property. Obviously, we haven't installed this one yet, but don't worry, when I do, I'll make a video of it. And that's it. Those are the three main components of creating and maintaining a healthy wildlife habitat. Make sure you always have a source of water, make sure you always have a source of food, and make sure you always have a source of shelter. In terms of homesteading and living off the land, maintaining a wildlife habitat is honestly one of the easier things in this aspect. Most things you need to do is pretty logical. It's not too hard to meet the requirements and to maintain those, and you're going to have a very exciting life if you do this. You just are going to step outside in the morning with your coffee or your tea or whatever you do in the morning, and you're just going to see a flock of wild turkeys. Or just the other day, we saw 2 deer come down our hill and it had a little baby fawn with her. Just while I was drinking my morning coffee. It was lovely. I love having a wildlife habitat. I love living in nature. It's so peaceful, and there's always something exciting going on. It's never boring, that's for sure. If you live in West Virginia and you're interested in this program as well, I'll post a link to the application process in the description. If you're not in West Virginia and you still want to do something like this, I would encourage you to go look up your local DNR office and see if they have any sort of program similar to this. Another avenue you could take is to get your yard certified through the National Wildlife Federation. We did that as well. The application process is a little less strict though. You pretty much have to just promise the 3 factors that we talked about today: the shelter, the food, and the water. And you pretty much promise them that. You send them $50 and they send you a certificate and a sign in the mail. Again, we did this as well, but because how the application process works compared to the DNR application process and how much more thorough it is, the National Wildlife Federation certification is more just a glamorous donation to wildlife conservation, which we're fine with. That's what we're all about here. So if you want to go that route, I'll also post a link of them in the description as well. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. I'm Ogonslav Firewind from Firewind Wildlife Refuge. Go hug a tree. We'll see you next time.